Well, there's a little girl. That's kind of creepy, I guess. Oh. Well, that got out of hand, didn't it? In Neverending Nightmares, you play as a regular-looking man in a regular-looking tweed jacket, whose life or current situation seems to be the equivalent of Groundhog Day from hell. In the demo, when you get to certain spots, your character teleports back to his bed where he wakes up and continues to move along, with minor differences in the environment. This would probably explain the title. From the small chunk of gameplay here, there is not much that you're doing aside from walking around and interacting with things or trying to get away from evil forces that surround you. Is our friend searching for clues to solve a mystery? Is he trying to find his way out of his never-ending nightmares? Or does he even have any idea what he's doing himself? Who knows? These are questions that will likely be answered in the full game. The first thing you will notice about the game is its striking and impactful visual design. The game is in black and white, with the only color present being red of blood and fire. While this color scheme is not necessarily unique, the game's strangely ominous pencil-drawn style really makes the visuals stand out to great effect. The game's use of shading and darkness to set the tone is reinforced well by such an imperfect, almost crudely drawn style that leaves plenty of white space between the black. The more shadowy areas looked like pulsating patches of yarn, and really gave me the chills as the blackness started to surround me. It seems like whoever owns this house has a bit of a hard-on for Slender Man, as he is in pictures all over the walls. I don't blame him. Who could resist that face? But in all seriousness, Slender is all over the place on the walls, and in pictures, so it could be that the game is connected to the character in some way. If I knew any more about Slender, or actually cared about the mythos, I'd probably go into larger detail or research about it. But alas, I just don't. Speaking of the pictures on the walls, the same few pictures are used over and over again throughout the house. Whether this was done intentionally to further the theme of repetition and insanity throughout the demo, or just out of plain laziness, is really up to you. From the short period of playtime that I had, it was unbelievably atmospheric. The music, or should I say noise, within the game was very subdued and ominous, never really going anywhere, but always there. It reminded me of Limbo, another great minimalistic horror title. The subdued sound perpetuates a more unsettling vibe, which jives well with the game's allusions to insanity. Just looking at the man's movements will be enough to confirm that he is not all there. One thing that really stood out for me was the way his eyes shifted around crazily every now and then. You know nothing about the character, but his body language and expressions speak volumes of his demeanor and add to the overall creepy mood. And finally, the design choice that puts this game's creepy factor over the edge is its use of shading and shadows. Seriously, the enveloping darkness that is present here gives the game a whole different feeling of dread. It almost feels as though the darkness is your enemy, and the fact that it seems to follow you around and move around you makes it feel alive in a way. It adds a layer of tension that would frankly have been missing if they decided not to include this shaded darkness. My favorite aspect of the gameplay was the fact that your character is limited to an awkward hobble-like walk as he is going through the creepy house. The inability to run is not anything new to horror games, but it feels especially effective in Neverending Nightmares when coincided with the long hallways and mysterious darkness. There is one moment in particular when the character is walking down a seemingly never-ending hallway, and the darkness from behind is clearly following him. In this moment, you will wish you could just run ahead and get away, but you're forced to slowly trudge along in fear of what's behind you. It works extremely well. I'm not sure if it was timed, but my demo ended with our guy waking up in what appears to be a mental asylum room, so take that whatever way you will. If you enjoy very atmospheric horror games, I see no reason that you should not give this demo a shot, and certainly keep it on your radar for things to come.